welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have The Sword in the Stone. This is the 1963 animated film. It's an hour and 20 minutes long. It is one of those sort of underrated Disney classics. It doesn't really focus on a princess or a great, well, it is a great grand adventure, but it's not that focused. Watching this, it's the story of King Arthur. Well, in this case, you see him right there about to pull the sword out of the stone, which makes him the King of England. He's a fictional character, of course, but the idea is that in every other King Arthur story, we either see him come upon the sword and see his life changed, or you see it's mostly the aftermath. The first few minutes are him discovering who he is, and then the rest of it is becoming the King Arthur that we know. This is pretty much a story that focuses on him. 99% of it is him before he ever comes in contact with the sword. This is literally the last 2 minutes of the movie. It's 1963, so I can spoil that for you a little bit here. But just so you know what you're getting into. The idea here is, though, he's called Wart. He's been taken in by a family, swarthy guy and his son who they're not very nice. They have their moments, but for the most part, the son isn't that great of a guy. Wart is sort of like their servant for the most part. He sort of drags everything around for them, does all the chores, and it's not a great life. But he runs into a wizard. We all know who that is. It's Merlin. And Merlin, in this version, is a very, very eccentric, not so much stolid and wise and wizardly. Well, he's definitely wizardly, but he's more of just befuddled, and he's confused sometimes. He doesn't remember what's going on, depending on how hard he hits his head. He has an owl named Archimedes that talks, and they have their banter. They barely get along, but yeah, they live together in this little house. And since Merlin is magical, he has seen the future. He's even seen into our modern day, into the 20th century at least. Well, at least when this movie was made as the 20th century. He has all sorts of. He talks of all sorts of future things like locomotives and flying machines and the world being round, and that's surprising to young Wart Arthur. But he basically says that rather than going right for the sword, which first of all, the owl Archimedes tries to dissuade him from ever getting close to the sword, and Arthur isn't really interested in becoming king at all either. Not that he understands fully that the sword is supposed to do that, because when the king originally died, they tell this in a different way, through very artful stills rather than animation, like moving animation. The beginning of the film tells the story with a narrator. Who is that? Sebastian Cabot? What? He's the narrator? No, that's not him. Anyway, I thought he was supposed to be the narrator, but yeah, but we've heard his voice before. You'll recognize his voice if you're a Disney diehard. But anyway, he lost my train of thought. At the very beginning, they show the story of why the sword was in the stone in the first place. It's the king died, and somehow there was a decree that the sword would decide who would become next king, and nobody was worthy. Nobody could pick it up. It has engraving on it, much like Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. So it's a common thread in mythology. But nobody can do this, and it falls into disrepair. It's hidden away with vines. Most people don't even know it exists or cares that it exists. They're about ready to pick a new king after all this time by battle, who can win in a battle, in a fight. Meanwhile, Arthur is being taught by Merlin and Archimedes as to how to be educated. He needs to be educated. It's very important. This is basically a propaganda film to tell kids they should go to school. Stay in school, kids. Because while Arthur is very interested in the magic that Merlin has, he honestly, he doesn't want to use it to cheat or have a better advantage, but he does like the idea of it being able to turn him into different animals. First, he wants to be a fish, and they go on a whole adventure as fishes. He turns them all into fishes. And of course, wherever Arthur goes, there's a predator. Even as a human boy, there's a wolf following him around. When they're in the water, there's like a barracuda coming after them. I think it's a barracuda. It's a big, scary fish. Then he turns into a squirrel. And while the wolf is following him there too, the biggest threat to him right there, and to Merlin as well, are female suitors. Girl squirrels chasing them down and blocking any exit and making sure that they are theirs. They lay claim to Arthur and Merlin, and it's all they can do to escape them. They don't even know the wolf. Half the time, nobody knows that the wolf is following them. This wolf is just mangy. He's very much not good at his job. There's a very big Roadrunner and Coyote attitude to this, and even more so later on. I'll get to there's a Bugs Bunny Daffy Duck kind of thing going on too, or Bugs Bunny Elmer Fudd. No, it's a Bugs and Daffy thing. Anyway, so yeah, they become squirrels, and then eventually he becomes a bird, and becoming a bird takes him into the home of a witch, another magic user, and that's when we get our Bugs and Daffy moment between Merlin and this witch, and the two of them have a wizard battle. And it's very colorful. It's very exciting. It's probably one of the most action-filled moments because it constantly is changing. It's very colorful. I think I said that. But yeah, there is no real focus to this. It's all sort of just, hey, here's a crazy adventure. Well, there's some education, or you should have some more education based on what you learned here. And he hints at the future, and eventually he gets Merlin gets so frustrated with Arthur, who is willing to just do the thing and become a squire to his foster brother, and not reach for anything beyond his status in life, that Merlin just gets ticked off and leaves. But as we all know how it turns out. He gets the sword and stone. He doesn't necessarily want to be king, but what are you going to do? You're King Arthur. It's destined, and of course Arthur and Merlin at that moment when he realizes, oh, he's King Arthur. Oh, I know that story. He knows his part in all of it. So yeah, I pretty much told you the entire film, but it's to be experienced. It's beautiful, all hand-drawn animation. It's from the classic era. If you appreciate that kind of stuff, it's got wonderful flourishes of music and visuals and everything else. You're never gonna, I don't think you're gonna get any lesson other than go to school, kids. There's no focus to the story really at all that I could gather, but it's fun. It's cute. It's more of an audio visual put something on in the background while you're cleaning the house kind of thing. And if you're not, you won't miss much if you're not paying attention to the story. You just go, oh, he's a squirrel now, and things are getting crazy with the girl squirrels. Oh, he's a bird, and it's great to look at. They do use some animation pieces over and over again, but again, this is a time in which everything was hand-drawn, and it had to be exhausting and time-consuming to do all that by hand as compared to how we do things today. So, yeah, it's a fun little thing. I can't say it's my favorite Disney film of all time, but it's definitely one of those classic hidden gems that most people have never seen. And if you're looking for something a little bit different than what you're used to with the Star Warses and the Marvels and the princesses, check it out. Now, by the way, we're gonna pick our next episode, and it will be our 300th episode. Yeah, today is 299. We're gonna pick 300 with this tap, assuming it's not a repeat. So, and tomorrow, 300. Well, I got a few extra surprises coming. I'll be making a few little announcements along with our 300th episode. So, yeah. You'll want to check that out if you happen to be watching this far in. Anyway, here we go. We're going to pick the next episode. Pick that number. 357. I think we've had this one. It seems very familiar to me. 357. No, we didn't. Huh. We didn't. You have to understand. We've every time we've gotten actually something really good. Nothing that's to toss away. We had a Pixar short for our 100th episode. Gosh, I can't even remember what it was. Tinker Toy or something like that. It's one of those classics that it was Pixar before it was really Pixar. It was the early stuff. Then our 200th episode, we had Tangled, the animated series, which is really good. And this time, we go back. It's a movie featuring some Disney icons. Our three boys have joined together, all for one and one for all. Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, the Three Musketeers. So that is our 300th episode. The Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, the Three Musketeers. I'll have to dress more formally tomorrow. And along with it, I'll be giving you some little hints as to what the future holds for this series. So I'll see you here tomorrow with Mickey, Donald, and Goofy on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, Three Musketeers. See you then. Bye.